Kicking off our Facebook Lives for the day, we have Carl Markman, who is the head of Real Estate Mortgage Network, REMN Wholesale. Carl is an industry veteran and has primarily been in wholesale his whole career. I'm really excited about this interview because Carl's got a lot of value to share with the broker community. Carl, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Anthony.
So let's get into let's get into it a little bit. Just main things that we're seeing obviously is market has been in massive turmoil. You would think with the MBS and Treasuries being where they're currently at, that we would see significant improvements in rates on a daily basis. But there's external factors that are really impacting that. How are you guys dealing with the volatility?
Oh, it's fine. No issues at all. So we're dealing with it like everyone else. The most difficult thing that a loan officer has to deal with today is family and friends calling up and saying, I want that 0% mortgage rate right now. And that's what we're dealing with. But as we all know, they're not out there. But from a volume perspective, like everyone else, we're just inundated with just so much business, and it's difficult to control that. It's unbelievable how our ops staff and the ops staff of our competitors are handling all the volume coming in, because as salespeople, right, it's easy right now. It's not going to get much easier than this to go out and get loans. It's getting those loans to the closing table. So kudos to all of them. They're working around the clock.
Yeah. So on that point, I mean, that's one thing I have been pleasantly surprised about overall is for the most part, we haven't seen turn times explode yet. And that's one of the things that, I sent you a text earlier this week when we were getting our updated information for your turn times, because I was kind of surprised. I was like, I got it. And before we published it, basically, I think you guys were at 1 or 2 days in underwriting.
Yeah, since this is kind of our claim to fame here. Since 2002, if a file is in before 11 a.m. Eastern Standard, it's the same day turn time by midnight that day. If it's an after, it's by 5 o'clock the following day. And we're always overstaffed intentionally all the time to be able to prepare for that, because we can't just one day say that we're not hitting the turn times. From an underwriting standpoint, from conditions, we are right now from anywhere from 1 day to 3 days, depending on the underwriter. But that's published on our site every single day by underwriter, because we need to set proper expectations for everyone.
Yeah, and that's impressive. So that's the reason I texted the other day is when you guys were still at 1 day and Melanie had shared that with me. I was like, guys, hit these guys back up, because there's no way they're still at 1 day. But to our surprise, you're still at 1 day in underwriting. So that's, for anybody that purchases or refis, these guys are delivering in a big way. The other thing, we've seen in the last 24 to 48 hours, it's kind of been an emerging storyline, is non-QM lenders are definitely under some, stress. We saw a couple lenders, Royal Pacific and the lender, halt their non-QM offering. There's, several other lenders right now that, are kind of in the same boat. I know you mentioned earlier in the week that that's something that you're dealing with as well.
It is. Unfortunately, it's only a few percent of our overall business, the non-QM piece. And as of yesterday, we did have to unfortunately announce, and it's unfortunate for the competitors out there in that space, that we have to halt incoming applications. So we're no longer accepting any new submissions for non-QM because of the secondary marketplace. Nothing to do with us or anyone else. It's the secondary market. There's no appetite for them. We are going to honor all has a loan with us right now that's locked. Be rest assured we're going to close that loan for him.
Yeah, that's actually a big point. So for all of us brokers right now that are not familiar with what's going on with non-QM and why this issue is happening, because for the last year and a half, all we've seen is the growth of the non-QM business. Why is there such a lack of appetite? Why is this issue kind of emerging right now?
Well, there's no appetite for them. So the investors that are on the sideline right now, there's just they're halting the business because there's just no money right now for that product. I do think though that this is hopefully a short-term aspect of this business. I do think that eventually it's going to come back. We just don't know when. And for all those people looking for the financing that don't meet agency guides, they're going to be on the sidelines for a short while.
And to everybody watching, is my microphone still echoing? Sorry about that, guys. As we look forward for a very long time, REMN was considered a government lender. The focus of the business being renovation lending and FHA loans and VA loans. Right now, you guys have sort of evolved, and at this point, you're very focused on being a diversified player. What are the products that you're seeing the most volume in right now?
Well, the most volume right now, we have always been a purchase lender, so we're still about 55% purchase, which is amazing in this environment because of the turn times. But we offer every product, every agency, Fannie, Freddie, VA, USDA, FHA. We do a lot of renovation. We did, and I think I mentioned this to you a few weeks ago, Anthony, we did make a conscious decision to kind of turn things around a little bit, and we understand that price is a player in the higher FICO purchase government business. So any government loan purchase with a 680 and higher FICO and a loan amount minimum of $125,000, we literally are the best priced out there. This is not a short-term goal. This is a long-term goal. So you're not going to see us in and out of the market. One day at the top, the next day somewhere in the middle. We're going to remain up near the top because we do believe that we do have to pay for that business, and that's in a very short period of time, more than I could have ever imagined. So quickly, that's become a very large part of our business, the purchase government piece, the higher FICO.
Got it. And as far as purchase volume goes, there's a lot of information coming in right now, and my concern is that we're trying to hear these reports of purchase contracts being canceled. We're hearing listings being canceled. What are you seeing on the purchase side?
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of that as well. We've only had a couple that we've had to kind of put off to the side and not be able to close those loans because the counties are closed. They can't record. I think that was in Northern California. But for the most part right now, we're okay. We're anticipating, obviously, appraisers not getting into homes, right? Counties closing down. So as of today, we do have a minimum lock period of 60 days, not because of us. We need to protect the loan officers out there that in 30 or 45 days, if they can't close that loan, to go start relocking. We'd rather prefer to get them in with a minimum 60-day lock up front. Got it. We're still closing loans very quickly.
Got it. And as far as a lot of things going on out there as far as warehouse capacity and things more or less on the back end for lenders, are you experiencing warehouse capacity issues?
Fortunately, we're not. I think right now it's so important for companies, for leaders to communicate to their staff. We've had several from our CEO and senior level management communicating directly to our ops teams, our sales teams. In fact, I had a national sales call yesterday with our CEO to explain what's going on in that respect. We are in a very, very good position, very fortunate from a cash standpoint. We're in good shape, which is very fortunate.
Yeah. So I guess the other question that a lot of people are asking, there was a post yesterday about a REMN AE, and I'm sorry, guys, sorry to the audience about the echoing. We're gonna get that fixed after this call. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but there was a question yesterday about your rate lock policy. There was an AE or some miscommunication about you guys not extending rate locks. So if you could just share with the community, what is your rate lock policy or extension policy?
Sure. The rate lock policy, there's no changes, absolutely none. So anyone that's doing business with us, anyone in the past knows that extending locks, it's business as usual at this point. The only change was the minimum lock 60 days.
And as far as like relocks, if the market improves, float down option, do you offer renegotiations or anything like that?
We don't have a specific policy in place, but we do offer renegotiations. We've been doing it for decades now, and it's worked out fine and well for loan officers, for the customers, and for us. So we absolutely work with our loan officers, partners, to allow them to relock.
Yeah, and I know during the financial crisis, were you at Security Atlantic at that point?
Well, I was at Wachovia for 15 and a half years. And when the meltdown happened, yeah, I unfortunately lost my job. And fortunately, that was October 12th of 2008. And the following day, I started with Security Atlantic. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. It's going to be 12 years this October 13th for me here.
Well, congratulations. I think one of the things that I talk about with a lot of people, I've spoken to you about it offline, is, as somebody that, dealt with and went through the financial crisis, there was a lot of learning lessons that I personally had, and to be honest with you, I feel very prepared for what we're about to go through, because the issues that I saw back then was, rumors and fear and communication were two things that really took over the dialogue. You saw a lot of good lenders, you saw a lot of good companies go out of business that may not have if they had better communication strategies. And it really becomes a confidence game in many ways, because if companies are so uber focused on their business and keeping their business afloat and not communicating to their clients and their business partners about what's going on, somebody else steps in and starts telling their story for them. So I think, for you, as somebody that was at Wachovia, went through, Wachovia got acquired by Wells, right?
Correct, yeah.
And even before, you were at World Savings when they got acquired by Wachovia.
Absolutely.
So you went through that whole period of time when you were at Security Atlantic, and obviously, I remember when the crisis happened, Security Atlantic emerged as, one of the best options out there for brokers, because they had, FHA loans in the as a replacement to subprime and Alt-A. So, for you, when you look at the environment, provide some advice based on your experience to brokers on, getting through this period of time, keeping a level head, and just, dealing with what's ahead of us.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. So one thing we have to do is we have to remain positive. There's a lot of really good things happening in our space, although we can't make light of what's going on in the financial markets. Experience is key. And I would say that leadership at our company, everyone's been a loan officer. We've been in wholesale business forever. I guess good or bad, we've seen these ups and downs and the turmoil, but we all come through it. And everyone has to understand, even with the stock market and everything else, because everyone's kind of like shaking their heads right now, what do I do? We will get through this. And we'll probably be much stronger as a result and learn from what's going on. But what we can't have happen, and I've seen it over the last couple of days, which it really bothers me, because as a competitor, there's a whole lot of business out there for all of us. And to start rumors or to spread rumors doesn't do any of us any good. And from a sales perspective, negative news travels rather quickly, faster than positive news. Let's all remain positive. Let's be on each other's side. Let's not put each other down, because there's enough business for all of us. And if one of us doesn't make it, then all of us have to gather around and help those people. I remember back in the financial crisis back in 2008, I had so many people reaching out to me for jobs because they lost them, and I felt that it was part of my responsibility, even if my company wasn't hiring, to help them find positions elsewhere. So these non-QM lenders that are on halt for now, if people are looking for jobs, let's help them out, because all of us have outstanding roles that we can fill. So again, my only message is we can look forward a year or 2 years down the road. We're going to come out of this and we're all going to be fine. Just let's take care of each other. That's all. That's my message.
That's a good point. And I think, Carl, if you could, on your side, I think the volume, if you could turn it down just a little bit, I think that might be part of the echo. So that's a good point that you're making. And I think it's important that, both as mortgage brokers and everybody in our channel has to understand one major thing, and this has been kind of a common communication I've had with lenders and with brokers about being compassionate and understanding that, like, at the end of the day, this is a people business, and you really don't know who today who could be in a certain situation that in the future is a much better situation that might impact you. And as I look back and going through the financial crisis, so many people that I worked with that I thought were really great mortgage people at that time, they got wiped out, they left the industry. But a lot of the people that I'm still friends with today and I've developed, long-term relationships with are, people that were AEs then that are now regionals and now running wholesale divisions or running vendors or businesses that are tied to our industry at this point. So, relationships matter in a very big way. And to me, I don't want to see anybody get hurt at this point. The biggest thing is, this is an unbelievable opportunity with where rates are at in the market for all loan originators and all channels for you and me, having gone through one financial crisis, it's important that people understand you can't take anything for granted, and I think that's a big deal. How are you hearing? What are you hearing from a perspective of any type of federal intervention, or whether it's servicing for customers that are impacted by this, or consumer or people that lose their jobs during this period of time? Are you hearing anything from MBA or any of the industry outlets about how the federal government plans to intervene?
Yeah, I think that there's a whole lot of news out there, and right now it's all hearsay. We have reached out to the agencies for better clarification. Fortunately, we have a pretty clear path to them, so we're just waiting to hear back. But I do see that something's going to have to happen with regards to the federal government allowing people to be late and so forth. There's going to be job situations that people can't go to work. I'm going to tell you that I see you're in the office. I'm at home. It's like I'm going stir crazy at this point right now, because we're either traveling all the time, we're in the office, and to be at home, I almost feel like I'm working 24/7 right now. I feel like I'm almost you, right? We get 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, that is I have my entire team is working from home since Monday. The state of Pennsylvania and the city of Philadelphia hasn't mandated that we work from home yet. So I personally need to be in the office. I just enjoy for whatever reason being in the office. But I know it's coming. So I set up my home desk and everything. But it's my issue is just like you said, is I work long hours here. Usually when I go home, I'm never unwinding or turning it off, but it's just different. And now I just see myself going home and it just being a constant, cycle of work.
You got to have balance, though. And the loan officers that are out there, take it while you can get it, because you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or 6 months from now. Right now, the loans are coming in. I would say business as usual. Keep writing those loans, keep sending them in. Communicate with your lenders, make sure that your locks are there and long enough so that way you can prepare for delays. But I think that it's from our perspective, from this industry's perspective, we're in a much better shape because we can work from home than most of our friends and families. So we're at this point, even though everything's crumbling around us, we're in a pretty good position considering.
That's actually one of the when this whole thing started and people were work from home and whatnot. I put together my pros cons for the broker community with my team, and one of the things I identified as a major competitive advantage is a lot of brokers work from home. A lot of loan officers are already used to that environment because brokers are smaller operators. So I look at that as a competitive advantage that we're not going to have to change much. But when I look at companies that have underwriting and closing staffs that are used to being in the office, I do get concerned about productivity levels being impacted in a negative way. Have you seen any of that at all?
Well, fortunately, I think it's affected us in a positive way. The positive piece that's going to come from this is that as a company, we have a lot of people that go to corporate, go to the office and work from there. But now everyone's remote. We've been planning. I think we plan rather well. Everyone's got their monitors and their computers, and they're working all around the clock. And I wish they were listening right now, because I would just kind of give them a big hug and say thanks for helping us out, helping us get these loans to closings quickly. But I think long term, this is going to benefit us because we're so prepared now to work remotely, where we weren't just a month or so ago. And I think that the productivity has increased because, when you're home, you wake up at 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon and look around and say, oh my God, I haven't even eaten yet. I haven't even showered, haven't shaved. So I think this is going to actually help us long term.
Yeah, and I think that's one point I'd like to point out to the broker community is yesterday I had a record day for unique inbound communications from brokers. We had over 800 communications come in, which we're talking about 800 specific different brokers with requests, whether it's transaction related, I need a new lender partner, what's going on with this. So it was a pretty overwhelming day. It was the most we've ever had, and I just posted to the group on how we can streamline that a little bit better. But one of the things when I get brought into transaction-related communications that I personally don't like, and I always try to talk to the brokers about it, is when I talk about lenders being our partners, it's for me that, as more than anybody, Carl, because we started talking a year and a half ago, and this was a real process that we both engaged in. In order for us to consider somebody a partner, we got to be all in. And what I want to make sure brokers understand is that the underwriters and the AEs and the closers, we have to understand if we're gonna categorize them as a partner, we got to treat them like that. And things go wrong. People make mistakes, things happen, and what I try to make sure when I see these communications is that we don't emotionally react in a time of stress or urgency in a negative way towards an underwriter or towards a processor or a closer, because the truth of the matter is these are just people. People do make mistakes. Sometimes the broker is the one that makes the mistake, and I have to point out them after the fact. But it's really important that we do treat them with respect and capacity. They're dealing with the stress, they're dealing with the pressure. Like you said, they're working around the clock on brokers' loans to make sure they do a great job for them. And I think it's very important that all of us understand that underwriter wanting to work on our loans and wanting to pull through for us is important. We don't want them just doing their job. We want them to be, hey, I want to pull through for Billy the broker. I want to pull through for Jim in Alabama because of the fact that they're nice to us and they treat us well and they do a good job for us. So I think that's one thing that I've noticed that is more people need to take under consideration.
Yeah, no ops person is sitting in their office or at home saying, "Oh, I want to delay this file." Everyone wants to get these loans off their desk to the closing table. So, and you're right, we all make mistakes. And the thing is, how quickly can you pick the pieces up and correct it? And I think that's the most important thing. And I think that the old days, everyone used to yell and scream and get their way. Today, you know what? If we're just nice to each other, we understand we're all under a lot of stress. The problems will get fixed after.
And the one last thing I'll point out is REMN is, proudly headquartered in New Jersey.
We are.
You guys are headquartered in New Jersey.
We are,
right?
absolutely.
So when we have a New Jersey company, we got to represent. There's not many of us out there in the space. So I hope you guys are well. We're going to wrap up. If there's any questions before we wrap up, feel free to post them real quick. So everybody knows basically the AIME partnerships team can help you get connected with REMN. The email for them is partnerships@aimegroup.com. Again, that's partnerships@aimegroup.com. If you email the partnerships team, identify you need to get signed up with REMN or any of our other lender partners, they'll make the connection. It's really important. What we do here, guys, is not only do we help you get signed up, but as a part of the relationship, we focus on making sure that we're bringing training resources to brokers as they're getting signed up. It's a different lender portal, a different closing process, different processes. Then every lender has their own processes. So we really try to help support the AE, help support the relationship by bringing these resources to you. So go through the partnerships team. We'll connect you with the Real Estate Mortgage Network team. And again, right now, take a look at their platinum pricing. They're very aggressively priced, currently at 1 day in underwriting turn time. Which again is in this market, considering how much volume's in the system, that's pretty incredible. So, Carl, any last minute messages for the broker community?
Last minute message that if you can work from home, self-contained, don't spread anything around, and everyone just be well. Let's get through this all together. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely,
Anthony, thank you.
Absolutely, we appreciate you. Thank you, and hopefully we get through this in short order. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.